Mr. Contest Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, we all hate referees. Every Saturday across the world, in games involving 4-year-olds through to international sports stars, referees get it wrong all the time. And again we hear the cry from the crowd, "Are you blind, ref?" Well, it's a well-known fact that referees are, in fact, short-sighted and short. Referees do not have any friends. I do not have any friends who are referees. I don't even have friends who have friends who are referees. Some of my best friends are not referees. So you can imagine the immense surprise when one year I became not a referee, but an umpire. I mean, an umpire is a referee who doesn't even move. My son plays baseball, and as an involved parent, I was volunteered to become a baseball umpire. The training was 3 hours long, and the first 2 hours and 45 minutes focused on teaching us the two key principles of becoming a successful kids baseball umpire. Principle number 1, when in doubt, call it loud. That way, nobody will dare question your call. Principle number 2, protect yourself behind the catcher. That way, you cannot be hit by the ball that the pitcher has thrown at the batter. I didn't think this was a particularly big issue, seeing as how the pitchers were going to be little 9-year-olds. Game day. My first match as umpire. I had printed off the 97-page rule book to bring along with me just to bolster my scant knowledge of the game. The 9-year-olds were super excited. Not so much. My son was super worried. My darling, supportive wife was having elective surgery. Anything just to stay away from the game. I walk up to the plate, and I remember principle number 2. Protect yourself behind the catcher. As I walk up and prepare to protect myself behind the catcher, I realize that I'm 6'4". The catcher is a 9-year-old. The catcher is short enough to be a referee. I prepare myself behind the catcher, and I realize a little too late that I may have worn the wrong trousers for the job. It turns out black skinny jeans don't go with everything after all. I look across to the pitcher. The pitcher looks 16. He is tall enough to be an umpire. And he glares down at the batter, and by association me. He lets fly. I'm so protected that I can't see where the ball is going. So I move slightly out of protective range, and I get hit in my third base. With the last breath in my body, I whisper, "That was a ball!" When I wake up 5 minutes later, I have an ice pack on my third base, and I have a petulant, prepubescent pitcher standing over me, pouting. "Are you blind, ref? That was a strike!" I draw myself up to my full height quite slowly, and I glare up into his eyes, and I say, "I'm not a ref, I'm an umpire! I survived that day, fairly unscathed, but massively scarred. I made a lot of mistakes, and I know I made a lot of mistakes because the parents kept on telling me about the mistakes that I made. You know, later that afternoon, as I lay on my couch nursing my bruised ego, I thought to myself, you know, I've walked on fire. I've had surgery on my arm while I was awake. I've even watched my wife give birth. But umpiring that match was the hardest thing I had ever done. Late last night, I get an email. My son has switched to cricket, and they're looking for involved parents to become umpires. I remember principle number 1, and I call it loud as I type back in caps, bold, no ball.